guys, it's Jessie. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video and to another Project TBR video. If you are not caught up, this is my kind of like TBR takedown, reading my physical TBR series. I'll leave the playlist linked up in the card so you can catch up. This is our third episode and we are starting off this episode with 262 books on my physical TBR. So my rules for this series, basically I can only read books on my physical TBR and we have to end with a net negative from the video prior. So we'll have to be ending today's video on 261 no matter what. If I have any books come in, if I buy anything, if I haul anything, I either have to read it immediately in the video or I have to add another book onto the TBR, so basically kind of increase the number of books that we read in this video. That kind of depends on the theme of the video, if the book's the theme, etc, etc. So in today's episode we're going to be doing 2025 releases. So I've actually been ordering and reading a lot of 2025 releases this year and I've really been enjoying it, so I thought I might as well make them into a full video. So I've got a little spinny wheel on my phone and it's got all of the 2025 releases that I own, and we're just going to be going through spinning the wheel, reading the book, spinning the wheel, reading another book, pretty much. So I did already film me spinning for our first book, so I will insert that here now so you can see what we got. There is no audio on the clip because I was very tired and I just woken up and I didn't really feel like talking, but I did want to read. And the one that the wheel picked for me first was Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This is a kind of contemporary romance, I believe, and it's kind of like a marriage in trouble kind of vibe. This is the second in the series and I haven't read the first, but we're just putting that aside. I don't even own the first, so I was just interested in this one pretty much, and it's got the gorgeous sprayed edges. So yeah, I think let's just get straight into it without further ado. Hello, it's actually been a couple of days. I am now about 60%-ish of the way through Out of the Woods and I'm liking this one. However, it is taking me a really long time to get through. I thought this would be like an easy breezy kind of like 2-day read, but it's been like 4 or 5 days. I feel like I'm just not super inclined to pick it up. When I am actually reading it, I am enjoying it, but like I'm not inclined to just pick it up. I don't know why. So in this one we are following Sarah and Caleb. They are a married couple. They've been married since they were like 19 or so, because at the time kind of Sarah was going through some stuff with her mum who was ill, so they like wanted to get married young so she'd be there and stuff like that. And basically it's now about, I think, almost 10 years later or so, and Sarah especially is just kind of feeling quite lost. She feels like she doesn't really have anything for herself and it's kind of impacting their relationship a bit, so they are going on this kind of wilderness retreat called Reignite and they're basically trying to kind of like communicate better and stuff like that. So it's definitely interesting. I really do like these two as a couple. I think they're a super strong couple and I do like them together. However, I think for me, I do like a second chance romance and stuff like that, but that's not what this is. They're never like not in love with each other, if that makes sense. And I mean, obviously like they're a little bit rocky, but it's not on the rocks in like a disastrous extent. I don't think. They still have this really stable foundation and they really are like a strong couple. However, there isn't like that excitement of like a, oh, does he like me, like our first kiss, stuff like that, which I think is really kind of exciting in a romance book, and it just kind of lacks that because obviously they've been together for so long. So I am enjoying it. It's just kind of like nothing crazy. I think it's probably sitting around the mid-3s. Like there's nothing wrong with the writing. I like the characters. It's just like nothing is really kind of screaming like giggling, kicking feet. Overall, I'm not like loving it. However, I will try and finish it off today because I do want to kind of move on, and I think I have some books coming, so we will be adding to the TBR. I'm going to finish this off now, and yeah, it's just a little bit mid for me, I think, but it's definitely kind of like above just a generic romance in terms of like character development and stuff, but like it's just not really doing anything for me at the moment, to be honest. Hello, I have now finished, where is it? Okay, I have now finished up Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young and I did enjoy this. I thought this was sweet. I decided to give it a 3.5, so definitely like an above average romance, but nothing that kind of like blew my socks off, if that makes sense. Something I was a little bit nervous about when I was coming up to it was like the kind of third act conflict section, because I was like, if this couple have like a row now and like kind of backtrack on all their progress, then it's like they are very much clearly not going to be like something I can root for. But I really liked that it wasn't like a third act breakup type of situation, because I thought that would have been ridiculous given the context. It was more of like a challenge to overcome slightly, but not, you know, breakup-y, if that makes sense, and I really did appreciate that. I think I kind of said everything in my midway update. I think it's a nice palette cleanser romance. It's not like offensive, it's not like overly smutty either. We only have one full sex scene really. I normally kind of skim them slightly anyway, but I did think that like the tension was built well, given that they have been kind of married for so long. I did appreciate that kind of Hannah Bonham Young was able to kind of actually build a bit of tension there. I definitely would recommend if you're looking for that kind of vibe. And now I do have to show you the books that have arrived and I have bought. So there are 3 here and 2 are 2025 releases. So I think I'm going to work this slightly differently and just put them on the wheel and then kind of add the number of wheel spins I do, rather than kind of reading these ones specifically, because I do think it'll be fun to stick to the wheel. But first things first, the one that is not a 2025 release, so we'll just be adding a number to the TBR. Fresh Dirt from the Grave by Giovanni Rivero. This is for a specific video that I'll be filming in the next couple of months. You can probably guess if you watch like my previous reading vlog and what I said there, and if you kind of are familiar with the channel, you can probably guess what I'm reading this for. I am excited for it. I believe this is a horror and I'm excited for it. I think it'll be interesting, but that is kind of not to be talked about today. And then for 2025 releases, we have one of my most anticipated that I didn't even know was existing at the start of the year. We have Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I love Ali Hazelwood. She is one of my favourite romance authors, full stop. I have given everything by her at least a 4. All of her full-length novels have got at least a 4, and there are a good amount of 5s in there as well. And I'm really excited for this. This is the sequel to Not in Love. I think this will be such a fun time. I believe it's more of like an interconnected standalone, but still very excited for this one, so I do hope we get this. And then also this one I actually hadn't heard a lot about, but my best friend read this and really recommended it, and it sounded right up my street, and it's Who Wants to Live Forever, which is a time-bending, decades-long quest for immortality, catapulting you from Japan to Silicon Valley to eternity. So I believe this is kind of like a sci-fi romance where there's kind of a drug release that can extend a human life, and I think one of the people in the couple takes it and the other one doesn't, so I think this will be really interesting. But yeah, my best friend really loved it and she really recommended it to me, and we have similar tastes, so I hope I'll enjoy it. And it's signed, a signed edition, which I think is really cool, and it's got this like stamp thing there, which I think is gorgeous. And yeah, I've not seen anyone talk about this. She read it because it was like 99p on Kindle, I think, one day. It's not anymore, which was really peak, but yeah, I picked this up. It's got like less than 500 reviews on Goodreads and it came out in March, but I think I might love this tentatively, so really excited to get to that. And that's also on the wheel. So my camera battery's flashing, so I am going to spin the wheel now and hopefully we don't run out of time. I am tentatively nervous just because like these are 2 solid picks, and if I'd kind of picked the kind of generic way of just reading what I pulled, then I would just be reading those. But I've taken the last book we read off the wheel and added the 2 new ones on, so let's see what we get. We have When the Moon Hits Your Eye. Okay, that is fun. That is going to be a fun one. I am excited for that. That is by John Scalzi, and I don't want to run and get it because my camera battery is flashing, but that is basically, I believe, a story about the moon turning into cheese. And it's sci-fi, and I think we kind of follow different people in that, so definitely sounds right up my street. Definitely kind of the vibe I'm going for. I was a little bit tentative about picking up another romance, having just finished one. Very excited for this one. That's gone very well. I'm very excited. Hello, I am currently about 60% of the way through When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi, and I am loving this so much. This is so much fun. In this, basically, unsurprisingly, the moon has turned to cheese, and the way this story is structured, it's actually so fun because it's almost like a bunch of interconnected short stories, kind of. So we're following like different characters in different environments each chapter, so kind of like different people. So we've got like a billionaire who's like funding space exploration, we've got NASA, astronauts, we've just got like regular people, we've got like so many different perspectives, and a couple of them we get a couple chapters from, like maybe like 5 chapters later, and we are following along chronologically in time. So lots of characters, so for example the NASA astronauts or like the billionaire, they will be mentioned like in conversation when like the, I don't know, people at school are talking about stuff, because they're obviously all existing in the same world. And I think it's so fun. We get to kind of like follow along with these characters almost from like people's perceptions of them and stuff, and yeah, we get so many different scenarios. I think it's really humorous as well. We also get a couple mixed media bits bits at points, like we get like snippets of articles and stuff like that. It starts off with like a kids show script almost about the moon and stuff like that. What I like about this as well, it's not like overly trying to like explain why the moon has turned to cheese. Like obviously we follow like astronauts and stuff and scientists, and they're all kind of saying like they're very confused, there's not a solid reason. There's a tiny bit of science in here, but like very minimal, so it's not bogged down in like the whole this is why it's happened and it's crazy. It's more so kind of just like, yeah, this has happened, we're just accepting that we don't understand. And I don't think that's necessary for a book like this. This is just a very fun sci-fi read, and yeah, I'm just having such a fun time. I'm always very excited like getting to the different characters, seeing like who else we're gonna follow. There's a really good mix here, and yeah, I just think it's really fun. He's almost thought of like exactly every different type of person and like what experience they could have. I think he's very funny as an author as well. I read Starter Villain by him and I really enjoy it, so I'd love to read some more of his stuff. I think it's just a really fun book. I feel like you can dip in and out of it a bit as well. I've had such a busy week at work. I've like been working late and everything, so I've not really been reading this week. It's been like almost a week or so since we last spoke, but none of that is because of this book. It's just like not having time to read it, and I think it's the perfect book to kind of binge because I think the chapters are reasonably short, you get through them quickly, but then at the same time you can pick it up and put it down, which is what I was doing a little bit throughout the week. And I think because they're kind of almost separate stories, you can follow it really well. So I'm really excited to finish this off. Like I think like very highly, like 4 or 5 maybe, like really having a fun time with this and just like enjoying it a lot, and that's what I like with my reading. So I will carry on reading this now. I do think I have a parcel arriving today, which I think has either My Friends or Atmosphere in, I'm not sure, but I don't think actually that My Friends is out just yet in the UK. I'm still waiting for it. So I think it's Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which will be added to the TBR, which will have another book that I have to read, but I don't really mind because I'm having such a fun time at the moment. So hopefully gonna get some good reading done over the next couple of days. It's Friday now, so hopefully I think I'm gonna finish this today. Like I'm really just having a great time. I will catch up with you probably when I finish this off, and I'm hoping for a very high review from me. Hello, I have now finished up When the Moon Hits Your Eye, and I'm giving it 5 stars. I thought this was so much fun. I had such a fun time with it. I really just like thought it was great. It's not like a literary masterpiece or anything, but I just love a book where I have a fun time and I really enjoy seeing all of these characters. Some of them, like I mentioned, we do pick up at later points. Other ones, they're kind of just like a one and done situation. I thought this was really interesting. I mean, obviously you do have to like suspend a lot of disbelief, but I don't think that's an issue with like a sci-fi book. I'm kind of doing that anyway, and yeah, I just think this was a really enjoyable time, and like for my reading experience, it was a 5. There was nothing in here that I would necessarily change. I just had like such a fun time with it. I really feel like I'm not giving the best of reviews, but like to be completely honest, like I just thought it was really fun. I enjoyed my time reading it. I enjoyed the direction the book went, everywhere we went, everything we followed. I thought the characters were interesting. I thought there was a really good variety of different interesting characters. I was intrigued throughout. So yeah, a 5 from me, which is great. I'm so pleased about. And like I predicted, we did have a delivery today, and that is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which feels a little bit appropriate to kind of space themed books, and both kind of talking about astronauts briefly in the first one. But this is Taylor Jenkins Reid's new book and I am so excited. This is the gorgeous like Waterstones edition. I think it's absolutely stunning. It's also signed, which is so fun. I really love her writing. I think she's an absolutely like excellent author, and I'm really excited for this. It's actually not too long. It's only about 300 pages. I have no doubt that I will love it. But we are adding on another book to the TBR and another book onto the wheel. So I am going to generate now for my next book, so I'm really excited. I honestly don't really mind what we get. I feel like I'd probably be happy with anything. I feel like saying that I'm going to get like the one that maybe I didn't want. So I have now updated the wheel to remove When the Moon Hits Your Eye and add on Atmosphere. So let's generate and see what we get for our next read. I am nervous and excited. This is The Night in the Moth. Okay, fun, interesting. A little bit more nervous for this one, I think, just because it's kind of more like fantasy vibes. I didn't love One Dark Window, but I am still excited for this, and it is on my TBR for the month, so that is fun. Let me grab it. Okay, so this is kind of like a classic romantasy, I believe, with like a prophetess and a knight. So I mean, I don't know what the vibe is going to be for this, but I am still looking forward to it, so I am more than willing to give it a go. So this will be our next book for the video. Hey guys, so it has been a hot minute since we last spoke. I have a couple of of updates. So I think it's actually been 2 weeks since we last spoke, but as you saw, we drew The Night and the Moth in the kind of random wheel. However, I have like no inclination to read that, which I know is really bad, but I've decided to kind of just push that to the end of the video, and then in the meantime we'll read some other books while I'm actually in the mood for it, because I had an entire weekend free and didn't read any of it, and normally I'll read like a book and a half over the weekend. So I did the random wheel generator again. I'll put that on the screen now, and we did generate a book that I was a little bit more excited about, so I'm excited to have gone a little bit of the way through that in the last week. Again, over the past couple of weeks it's been really busy at my work, so I have been really busy with that, and then I was away this weekend, and initially I was going to then film a different vlog this weekend because I thought I was going to read more, and then I started reading for that, but then I didn't end up reading for that, and I just really want to finish this one now, so there has been a little gap in my uploads, but I'm now hopefully very much focused on this video. So I have made a good amount of progress in this book called Bear Me, and I do have a lot to say about it, so please bear with. So I am currently, I think, about like 80% of the way through. Like, I'm very nearly done, and I was very much excited for this one going into it because it was pitched to me as like a mixed media murder mystery. So this one, there's a little note at the start where Ashley Winstead talks about how she was kind of inspired by a lot of the kind of like online kind of trying to solve cases that's happened recently, kind of mainly with like Gabby Petito, and also the cases of the University of Idaho students. So at the start of this, we are following Jane, whose father's recently died, and then she kind of gets involved in this kind of like online true crime type of community, and a lot of it at the start, which I thought was really fun, is kind of told through these like true crime message boards, and I thought that was really interesting. And it's kind of set up as if she's kind of doing a tell-all book from, I believe, prison. I'm not sure, but it's at least kind of like, if you're reading this, chances are last year you flipped on the news and saw me getting shoved to my knees in the dirt and arrested by the FBI. So it's kind of told as like, here's my perspective on it, if that makes sense. And so for the first like quarter, I was really sucked in. I thought it was really interesting. She kind of talks about the first case that she got involved in, and is kind of hinting to like the bigger one down the road. And then we get to the bigger case down the road, and it is a almost beat by beat copy of the real University of Idaho case, which just sits awfully with me. I think that's so weird and so wrong. Not even like inspired by it, it's almost like a beat for beat copy. One of the victims has the same name, certain details about like really like intimate things about like where the victims were found and stuff like that, whether there were other people in the house, stuff like that, to the point of also like intimate details like that, and then other stuff that's just like the road. I think in this one it's Queen's Lace or something, and then in the real thing it's like King's Road or something like that, and I just think it's really gross, I think, to copy that, and I really don't like that at all. I feel like I didn't emphasize it enough. I mean, I emphasized it a lot, but I also found this review that kind of details some of the other similarities, because I wasn't all too familiar with the case, so I wasn't able to pick out everything. But this is just from the first 30%. Like, you can read it if you want to. Like, things are just ridiculously similar, going past the disrespect level, just of a lack of creativity. Like, you can't come up with a different name, you can't come up with a different way they went home, you can't come up with a different, you know, this feels really insensitive, but you can't come up with another murder weapon. Like, things like that are just so directly pulled from it. The similarities are honestly just never ending, like to the point of the positioning of the victims' bodies, which is just so disrespectful and dehumanizing, I think, to fictionalize something that literally happened to people's family members, and without even acknowledging it in any way. The little letter at the front, which apparently wasn't even in earlier editions, just says that it's like inspired by it, doesn't even mention giving profits to charities or victims' families or anything like that, which makes me presume that she definitely isn't. And it just makes her as an author, and not to get too into it, but as a person as well, like, I just think that's absolutely disgusting. Obviously, like, no hate if you read this book and you enjoy it, like, that's fine, you're totally able to have your own opinions and everything like that. Just for me, like, I just felt this was so morally wrong. And not to spoiler for the rest of the video, but it gets worse. I think there's one thing for it to be inspired by, but then like when you're just like almost pulling direct details but then changing certain things, it just doesn't sit right with me at all. And we are kind of getting to a point now, we're trying to figure out like who has done it, and I think we're getting a bit closer, and at least one of the main suspects is pretty much like a beat for beat copy of who has really done it in the real case. And like, I just think that's really like gross. And she mentions it a little bit at the start, like in the little note she mentions that it's like pulls on details from the case, but like there's a huge difference between like inspired by true events and like a beat by beat copy. And I don't understand why there is a beat by beat copy, because then we go on to kind of make it into more of a serial type investigation, and unlike in the kind of true events, the killer then goes on to kill additional people. So then it kind of brings into the question, well, why have we copied it if we're not going to copy it the whole way through? If you can make up stuff and like be creative enough and imaginative enough to kind of like develop your own, I guess, furthering of the story, because I don't know whether she thought that the real case wasn't interesting enough, I don't know, but if you can do that to some extent, then why are we even copying it in the first place? Do you know what I mean? I just think it's really, really gross, because I'm pretty sure like the trial hasn't even finished yet for the real case. I mean, I don't keep up a lot with true crime, but like this was a massive case recently, and like it just feels really, really wrong, because as far as I'm aware, like the proceeds of this book aren't getting donated anywhere, so it just feels very, very exploitative. And then on another level, at that point, that was kind of around halfway through that I was feeling like that, and I was like, maybe I just won't rate it, because like as a book itself, it's actually like reasonably readable, and I'm interested in this kind of like online aspect, the way it's told. I do think it's quite interesting, and like maybe it will be like, you know, really well told as a mystery, because at least in the first half I was like really kind of sucked into it. So I was like, maybe I just won't bother rating it because there are these glaring issues with it. However, even in this second half now, firstly, we've scrapped anything that was interesting about the storytelling. They're all in person now, so it's not particularly exciting, and we're kind of at the point where there's two main suspects, but I think it's extremely obvious where the mystery is going. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, and if it is, I'll be so annoyed, because it's generally the most obvious thing ever, to the point of like it's almost screaming out of the page. If that is the case, it would be kind of planted there as like this huge plot twist, but I think that's incredibly obvious if that is the case. And then the other two kind of people that we're focusing on, one is like an absolute carbon copy of the real life case and murderer, and then the second kind of suspect, again, I don't want to give too much away, but then I really heavily would not recommend this book anyway, so I will just say like it's done the kind of very stereotypical kind of twist like you see in Criminal Minds, where like every now and again they're like, guys, what if the unsub was a woman? They're kind of playing into that as well, so that's kind of the potential direction we're going. But yeah, I really wouldn't recommend it, because I think it's really, really just wrong to be capitalizing off of this. And at least in the first half I was like, okay, you know, I don't think it's right, but I can appreciate that like at least like the storytelling is good and it's gripping. But then in the second half I'm like, oh, okay, so we've lost all of that anyway, so like why have you written this book? Because at least in the first half I was like, yeah, it's morally wrong, and like I wouldn't have rated it anyway, but at least, at the very least, it's like a gripping, well told story. And then the second half I'm like, oh, we've lost all of that, so it's probably gonna get a 1. So yeah, I'm really disappointed as well, because it's such an interesting premise. I think like Bright Young Women takes a bit of inspiration from true crime and like the Ted Bundy case, but I think that's a really heartfelt story. It's really focused on the victims, and it's also kind of very reasonably loosely inspired, I think, and there's like a big poignant message in that of kind of like being anti-sensationalist, and I think it has a lot to say, whereas this I don't think is saying anything. There is a lot of critiques of kind of like online sleuth detectives and stuff, and that is coming in, but like our main character and the kind of group of people she surrounds herself with are these sleuths, so they don't think there's anything wrong with it. She's doing terrible things. Also, they've been like approached by the FBI, and the FBI is like, yeah, we actually want to work with you as consultants. And I just think, well, that's never gonna fucking happen, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's just so unrealistic as well. Like, it just feels so rudimentary and I guess elementary. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know which of those words makes more sense, but like immature writing from Ashley Winstead. And I haven't read any of her other books, so I've heard really, really good things. So I thought she was a good writer, but like this just feels like a pulled together cash grab. And yeah, also it's so long. It's like, what, this is like 450 pages. And yeah, just really, really disappointing, because it's one that I thought was going to be really, really good. But after that little rant, I will finish this off now. It does read quick at the very, very least. I'll probably finish this off and generate something else. But like, I mean, I do like when I have stuff to say about a book. So like a rant review is better than a mid review. But like, in terms of like the actual book, I think it's really, really quite wrong that this got published. Do you know what I mean? Hello, so I've now finished up this book called Bury Me. I am gonna give it a 1 star. I honestly just didn't think this sat right with me. Like, I don't think it was right. There was no mention in the acknowledgements at the end of like the victims or anything like that, or kind of saying something about it. At the start there's a tiny little note that says it's inspired by, but it's really not, and I've heard that that only came out after the arcs went out, so initially it didn't even have that. And I think the way that she kind of talked about being inspired by is just so wrong, because she's clearly not. Like, it's not not inspired by at this point. It's like literally just copying. So yeah, a 1 star from me, which is pretty disappointing because I was looking forward to it, but I really don't want to talk about it anymore, just because like it was so disappointing and not good. And like the crappy ending that I thought we were building to, that was like a fake almost plot twist because it was so predictable, did happen. So who's surprised? Not a good book. So that's a 1. But we are going to move on to our next book, which will hopefully be much better. So let me get my little spin wheel up. Luckily we haven't added any more to this in the meantime, so we are still going off the same little wheel. I haven't deleted them yet, but I will just generate a new one now, and hopefully we get something good. Let's see. I can't even read what that says. Great, no focus. Literally no focus at all. That's great. Okay, Overgrowth by Mira Grant. That's fun. That's like a sci-fi horror one, so I think that will be a good time. So I will start that and catch up with you when I've made a little bit of progress in it. Hello, welcome back. It's been a little while since we last talked. It is absolutely boiling in the UK, so I'm using my microphone because I'm not turning off my fan. It's 30 degrees and I have no aircon, and I also have hay fever, so if I have like a red nose, that's why. It's great times, it's good vibes, loving my life. So we do have quite a bit to talk about actually. I don't think I've spoken to you in a couple of days, but since we last spoke, she arrived, and I'm not that upset about it because I am really excited for it, and I don't mind adding another book onto the TBR, but that does just mean we are adding another book onto the TBR for this video. I'd love to read this one. Also, it's like 400 pages and it's so thin, which is absolutely crazy to me. Anyway, that has arrived and I'm very excited for it. It was a pre-order and I did probably think it was going to be coming, but I did probably think I was going to finish this video like a week and a half ago, and that's fine. However, last time we spoke, I had just randomly generated Overgrowth by Mira Grant, and I'm about of the third of the way into this one, but that's actually not what we're going to be talking about right now because we have had a little bit of a plot twist. Remember her? I was like, I'm going to read that later in the video. I'm not excited for it. So now I'm actually like halfway, just over maybe 60% of the way through. Random plot twist, I am loving this book. So I kind of went into it with kind of really quite unappealing expectations, I guess, really quite low expectations. I wasn't expecting to like it. It was one that I'd kind of ended up buying on a whim and kind of like regretted, I think. I was thinking a lot like, I don't really like popular fantasy, romantasy, like I don't think that's for me. I don't think I'll enjoy it. And when I first started reading this, I actually picked up the audio. The first kind of maybe 20-30 pages or so, I was like, oh, it's just a bit cringy. Like, I don't care that you're like a divine, you can see, you know, the omens or whatever, like I don't care. You're like a little kind of like, it's not quite a princess, but like that kind of vibe almost. And I was like, I don't care, like whatever. She's like talking about, you know, meeting this night, and I'm like, oh yeah, funny that like he's kind of like doesn't like you, whatever, don't care. And then we kind of get to a couple bits with her little like gargoyle companion, I guess, and then I'm like having a little laugh. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny, hee hee, that's funny. And then we have a couple of interactions between her and the knight, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I go from like being like, ugh, I don't care, to suddenly being like giggling, kicking my feet and obsessed with them. So I think that's quite funny. I think like this one definitely does have a plot that we are following. It's definitely not like a plotless book and just focus on the romance. However, I think the romance in here is really what's pulling it forward for me, like the relationship between the characters. Like we're halfway through and we've barely had any kind of like actual romance. It's just kind of like glances and like little comments and stuff, like no kisses or anything like that, and I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate that our like main male love interest is just like kind of a regular knight. He's just quite dry, quite sarcastic. He's not like this brooding evil villain, do you know what I mean? And I find that a bit cringy in romancy sometimes. Like I'm not into like the dark shadow lord that hates everyone and is evil, but not for this one little petite girl. Like that's not the vibe I like, and this doesn't have that, which I appreciate. And I also think that there is a reasonable amount of plot carrying this forward, and I also think that I really enjoy the little companion here, which is the gargoyle. I think he's very funny. He's very emotionally unstable. He'll cry a lot. He'll make kind of like stupid comments and stuff all the time, and he's like actually made me laugh out loud a couple of times when I'm listening to the audiobook, and I do think the narration is really good. I'm really enjoying it. However, I've run out of Spotify hours now, so I will be reading the rest physically. Basically, the plot of this one, we are following Sybil, who is the 6th diviner out of like 6 girls that are picked. They're kind of orphans, and they're picked by this kind of abbess, which is like the kind of, I guess, one of the leaders of the kind of religion of this kind of fantasy world, where she is able to like, after going through certain steps in this kind of like process, she can kind of see the future or kind of like divine the omens. And I guess it's a bit like tarot, kind of, where certain things like together can like lead to potentially good outcomes or bad outcomes. It's not like seeing the future, but it's kind of like there's stuff with a coin where if she sees it face up it means good things, or face down it means like bad things and stuff. And basically all 5 of her fellow diviners go missing, and at a similar time the knight and the king, the knight we're talking about is the romantic love interest, him and the kind of court are like at the monastery or whatever it is, and they kind of agree to help her kind of find the other diviners whilst they are also kind of on their own separate quest. I'm not particularly interested in the story, like it's not what's pulling me forward, it's the interactions between the characters, but I will say like at least there is like a decent plot to this. I think it's not just kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to hate on Akatar because I know a lot of people love it, but in that one I didn't think the plot was super strong. It's like, oh, we're trying to defeat this evil person, and it was just kind of, I didn't really care and I didn't find it particularly intriguing, whereas this one has kind of different levels of intrigue throughout, which I am enjoying. So yeah, I'm really liking the interactions between the characters. It's what I like in enemies to lovers, like they don't mortally hate each other, they just find each other like annoying at the start and they make little quips and stuff, and it's like a slow build of like the romance. Like at one point near the start, the king is kind of like talking about the diviners and they look quite similar, and he refers to one as the pretty one, and the knight's eyes go straight to the main girl, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. Yeah, it's just interesting and I like it. The knight's name is Rory, which isn't my first choice, but I don't mind that. And yeah, I think it's just like entertaining, and I'm really enjoying the kind of like comedic aspects from this little like gargoyle side character. I think it's so funny, and yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. I think it's a fun book and definitely exceeded my expectations, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna carry on with this now and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming with Overgrowth, which I am enjoying. But yeah, I just kind of got sucked into this one unexpectedly. I thought I was just gonna give it maybe like an hour or two of the audiobook and then maybe like, I don't know, see what I thought, but very pleasantly surprised, having a fun time. And because it's like 30 degrees today, I'm not going outside, I'm sitting in front of my fan, and hopefully I can get a lot of reading done today as well. That is the plan. I hope this is okay audio wise, because we're now also dealing with children playing in the garden, like one over from mine, not conducive to great audio quality. So as expected, I did end up finishing The Night and the Moth, and I decided to give this a 4.5. I was so pleasantly surprised by this one. I thought this was a really fun time. I'm really excited to read the next one. I don't think we've got a publication date or anything for that yet, but the way this ended, I thought it was super duper interesting, and yeah, I really liked this. I was just very pleased that I think the love interest wasn't like super broody and mysterious, and it didn't give that vibe. And I also just kind of feel like I enjoyed these characters. I felt like the romance was reasonably slow. I mean, it could have even been slower for my liking. I do like quite a slow burn. I just feel like that didn't take up all the book, and it stood quite well as its own thing, with it being kind of not necessarily like the whole focus of the book the whole time. I do feel like the story was interesting. I think it's definitely more interesting than other romance books, but I was kind of more reading it for the characters and stuff like that, which I do quite like a lot in books. But I do think this does have a decently strong plot coming through. I thought this was significantly better than One Dark Window. I thought One Dark Window was just okay, and I often kind of said about the, I can't remember his name, the voice in the girl's head in One Dark Window, I'd kind of wanted it to be a bit more kind of like Venom, and for it to have a bit of humour, and I feel like it was like just lacking humour altogether. It wasn't like, I don't think it was intended to be, but like I would have much more enjoyed it if it had like a bit of humour from that kind of like character. I think we really got that with the gargoyle character in this. I think having him in there with his little comments and stuff, he was just really sweet, and I really enjoyed that kind of like humorous aspect. It also didn't take away from like the stakes of the book or anything like that. It didn't kind of like undermine that or make it feel silly, but it was just like a fun addition to the book, and I do love a bit of a humour in a book. I love to have a little laugh, I love to have a little giggle. So this is a 4.5, which was a super strong rating and definitely unexpected, so I'm really glad I did read it for this video. But now back to our regularly scheduled programming, because that was out of order initially, and then I just read it in a different order when I thought I was going to leave it to the end. So now I'm going to step back into Overgrowth by Mira Grant. So I did get kind of just under a third through. I am going to read a little bit more of this before I give you kind of my first thoughts and kind of overview. I am intrigued and enjoying it so far, so probably going to read that for this evening. Not sure if I'll finish the whole thing, I'd like to, but we will see. Just going to kind of get on with reading now. Hello, I'm realising you can like see me in my mirrored reflection, which is a little bit odd, but I come to you with a little bit more of an update, or I guess my first real update on Overgrowth by Mira Grant, and I'm enjoying this one so far. So I'm currently on page 176, so I think that's about 35% of the way through, because this I believe is like about 400-500 pages, like yeah, quite high up there, and I'm definitely intrigued. I think initially, kind of before sitting down for about half an hour just now to kind of get a little bit further into it, I wasn't as into it as I maybe am now, and I don't know whether that was like an issue with my mood, because I feel like I wasn't really inclined to pick up Night and the Moth either, and then I ended up picking it up yesterday and today and really enjoyed it, and I've picked this up again today and I'm enjoying it a lot more, so it might be kind of like a personal thing. In this one we are basically following a girl who from childhood has said she is actually an alien that has like taken over the form of this girl, and she's been raised as this girl. Basically when the girl was like 5, she went into the woods, and the story is that she like found this alien flower pod, and that kind of basically killed her, took her like body or whatever, and is living as her. And that is the perspective we follow in this, is the girl Anastasia slash the alien, I guess. And she has basically been saying that she has been sent to kind of prepare for an invasion. She's living like a normal like everyday life, and then one day there is a kind of like message intercepted from space, and people are presuming that an alien invasion is going to happen. So she and her boyfriend, and I think maybe some other people that she's kind of teaming up with, are basically, I guess, looking into it. I think that bit hasn't really been set up because we're kind of following now, we're about 18 days pre-invasion is what it says at the start of the chapters, and we started out about 25 days pre-invasion, and I don't think we really have a set kind of like trajectory yet. I'm not sure where we're going from here. I feel like I am missing a little bit of intrigue in that, like, I don't really know, because this character is also in the dark a lot. She doesn't know necessarily what to expect from the invasion, but like we know that the invasion's, I mean, at least according to the chapter heading, is going to happen in 18 days, and that's like it. We don't know anything about these aliens, we don't know what they want. Not a lot of people are necessarily taking it super seriously. It's kind of like, I guess, 50-50 in the kind of world, I guess. And yeah, like she's just gone to kind of the place where they intercepted the radio message and trying to maybe get in contact with other people who claim to also be aliens, and then that's kind of where we're at. And I'm like, okay, well, we've got 18 days. I don't know what you're actually trying to do, like what the goal is here. It's not like it's not entertaining to read, because I am enjoying it when I get to it, but I don't feel super inclined to pick it up because I feel like I don't know where we're gonna go. And it's not necessarily like oh my god, I can't wait to find out what happens, because I just like, I have absolutely no idea. We could go in any direction pretty much is what I'm saying, and I feel like there's no, not that we need to like set it out beat for beat, but like she doesn't even seem to really have a goal. I guess her goal is maybe to like understand slightly more, but like again, there's nothing really set out, and I think that's what's missing for me at the moment. It doesn't take away the fact that I am enjoying the writing style, I'm enjoying where the kind of story is going, but like I don't know where that is, do you know what I mean? So it's not like that's turning me off the book necessarily, but it is just maybe like a slight barrier for me at the moment. I would like that to get cleared up within the next kind of 100 page or so, at least kind of get an idea of maybe where the story is going, because I think it's an important balance of, obviously I don't want to like be able to predict beat for beat where we're going to go. I don't need you to tell me that information straight out, but I do think like there's a complete, like, I mean, it could go any direction from here at this point, and I don't know whether this whole book is kind of leading up to the invasion and it's going to finish at that. I don't know whether we're going to skip forward quickly and kind of get to the invasion in the next few chapters, because it's been maybe like a week or so, 25 to like 18 days in this section, which would kind of lead me to think, if we keep the same pace, that the invasion won't happen until towards the end. But then like how much exciting things can happen in that time, because nothing particularly exciting has happened so far really in terms of like the actual plot. So interested to see where we go from here. We will see how I feel about it, but I'm definitely in a reading mood, so hopefully I'll read a lot more this evening. Fingers crossed. Good morning. It is the next day. Last night I got pretty much maybe like just over halfway, 60%-ish of the way through Overgrowth. I'm currently on page 287, and I believe we're in like the third part of the book. I guess it's kind of split up into different sections. Where we are at now, it's kind of like the last day before the invasion, so hopefully stuff is going to kick off a little bit. We definitely had a little bit more, not necessarily action, but definitely some stuff happened, but I'm still a little bit curious about where we are going from here, just because I still feel like, again, not like I need a full kind of synopsis plot by plot kind of set out to know where we're going, but I just feel like I really don't know where we're going. Do you know what I mean? It's not like there's some strong goal. I feel like our main characters are still very confused, left in the dark. They don't know a lot of stuff that is going on, so it's a little bit tricky for me to kind of like be anticipating the rest of the book, because like I don't even know what the goals of our main character are, and even the people around her, I barely know the goals for that either. Do you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of this is still left as a bit of a mystery, and I understand that's because the main character is confused a lot, but like I really don't know what to expect from the second half of the book. And I mean, I guess that's a positive in that it can go either way, but also a negative in terms of like there's nothing I'm necessarily looking forward to. So yeah, I'm just, I guess, going to carry on and see where we go from here. But yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit of a flaw with it for me personally, is just the kind of like lack of goals of the main character, because I think she's so confused she doesn't remember a lot, or like at least doesn't have any any like reasoning, or like she hasn't received any messages or stuff that kind of explain her purpose. It just kind of feels a little bit like, oh, why are we kind of following her so strongly throughout this? Because besides kind of one aspect that's happened to her in the last like 100 pages, it's kind of just like, I feel like she doesn't really have anything to really say. She's not like got a goal or anything throughout the story, which is a little bit interesting. And we're not kind of delving into characters enough that it's like a character focused story. And I don't think the plot is necessarily strong right now. I definitely think it could get a lot more strong, given that like I think the invasion's about to happen. So like an alien invasion would give a lot of plot. At least this first half, really not a lot has actually very much happened. And I feel like you could have a lot of stuff that's interesting in like potentially the lead up to an alien invasion. I feel like that could be a very interesting topic for a book, but we've kind of not taken the super interesting route here. So I'm intrigued to see where we're going to go. I will hopefully finish it off today. I did want to finish this video today, but I don't think I'm going to read this and another book in one day, just because I am going to be like going out playing tennis with some friends this evening, so won't be spending the whole day reading, but hopefully I'll get a good chunk through it and then we can generate our last book as well. So yeah, I'll catch up with you probably when I finish this off now. We'll see what we think. I think it could go either way in this second half. I'm a little bit intrigued, but mainly just a little bit confused as well, I can't lie. I'm this close to the end. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I don't understand how you make an alien invasion story boring. It's got such a good premise. It's got such a gorgeous cover as well. But I just feel like this plot is going nowhere. This is so long for no reason. I have no idea why it was so long. I felt like we rambled and we stayed in scenes for so long when we didn't need to. And I also feel like I don't feel a very strong connection to a lot of these characters. I do like Stasia and I do like her boyfriend Graham. And I do like her best friend Mandy, but like I like them all. I don't feel super connected to them. And I think with the plot, it's just a bit meandering. I don't think there's a strong kind of central focus almost. I mean, obviously the alien invasion is the central focus, but like besides that, I don't think I can see like true goals or aims for the characters, or where they want the story to go, or like what their goals are in like the reasons they're doing certain behaviors. And it's just really dull. And like I am having to push through it. And like I'm not going to DNF this at this point because I put so much effort into it, but like this went from like a 4 to like a 3, and now it's like a 2.75 maybe, I don't know. Like I was enjoying the writing, but at this point I'm like, I do not care. Like I feel really bored, and it's an alien invasion story. Like how? And I really loved Into the Drowning Deep by the same author. I thought it was so good. I thought it was so tense. I thought it was so interesting, and this is dull. So this might sound a bit weird. I desperately need to motivate myself to finish this, so I need to generate our next book now, which sounds ridiculous, but I need to bring myself to do it. And I can't lie, I feel like this video has taken so long. There's a few books on here I really just don't feel in the mood for, and I can't lie, maybe if I generate them I might regenerate. I'm not sure, but let's just kind of bring my mood up with hopefully a fun pick for our final book for this video, because I don't expect anything else to arrive. We have Great Big Beautiful Life, absolutely. Okay, we can do that next. I can power through these 50 pages and I can pick up Great BBL and I'll love my life. So wish me luck. I'm sorry that this kind of took it out of order, but like I just need to power through and finish this, and I can move on to Great Big Beautiful Life knowing that that's coming. Okay, I'll chat to you in the morning and I will have finished this. I need to. I don't understand. I thought I was gonna love it. I thought I was gonna love it. Alas, it was not meant to be. Hello, I have finally finished up Overgrowth by Mira Grant, and this is like 2 days I think since I last filmed, because I genuinely just could not bring myself to finish this book, and it was like 50 pages from the end. I was just so disappointed with this one. I had such high hopes and I really thought I was going to love it. It sounded so interesting. I think this as a concept sounds so good. Mira Grant's writing, I've only read Into the Drowning Deep, but I thought that was so good. That was like action packed. I really cared about the characters. We followed a few different people in that. Like I thought that was a really excellent kind of like horror-y type kind of sci-fi I guess, but not quite book. I thought that was really good. I definitely wouldn't say this put me off reading her books, but just it was really surprising because I just found it very lackluster. So I decided to give this one a 2.5, which is so sad because it's so low. Throughout reading this, it literally went from like a 4.254, 3 down to literally a 2.5, which is so sad. I think the first chapter of this, we start out quite dark, like horror, stuff like that. And so I thought that was going to be the tone going forward, but it just wasn't, which was really sad. And I think throughout this, like I just found it really dull. A lot of things I think happened for almost no reason and had kind of no impact, which was really disappointing. There could have been like 100 pages cut out of this easily, and like certain things, like at one point she kind of sends her friends away. She's like, leave now while you can, and then like they go, and then like 2 chapters later they're back like, we would never leave you. And it's like nothing happened in those in between this that they couldn't be there for, and them going and coming back didn't show anything new, and so we've just kind of like padded out stuff with like a big goodbye and then a big welcome back, and I'm like, nothing has changed. They've been gone for like half a day or something. So stuff like that I was like, this just feels like padding that should have been cut out of a book. And I do like the overall message of this, like I don't disagree with it. It's basically talking a lot about, at least for part of the book, about how kind of like she's an alien and she's not treated like a person, blah blah blah. It's very, very heavy-handed because her boyfriend is trans and her best friend is the daughter of an immigrant. So they're very key themes throughout, but like it's very, very heavy-handed to the point of her being like, it's crazy that they treat me better than they treat Graham when he tells them he's trans and I tell them I'm an alien or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but I feel like you're just kind of saying this, that it's like bad, and there's no kind of other point made, like there's no further discussion of it or like even examples of it. Everything we're told is kind of secondhand. We don't actually like see anything happening. And then like it does kind of sit a little bit weirdly because like they are like not coming in peace. They are a threat as an alien species, so I don't really know what that's trying to say throughout. And yeah, I thought the ending was underwhelming. The like actual alien invasion doesn't happen to like 2/3 through the book, which is like kind of ridiculous, and it was just slow and dull, and there was literally like no action throughout the whole book. Certain characters I thought were like kind of redundant, and like I didn't care about a lot of them, and overall this is just really, really underwhelming. Like I was so excited for it and it just didn't really give anything at all, to be honest, and I think it's such a cool concept. So yeah, this is a 2.5, which is very sad for me, and it did actually take me a while to get through as well, which was surprising because I literally had like 50 pages left. But I have now moved on to our last book from the video, which you saw me generate when I was literally like lacking all motivation whatsoever to finish it. I have now started Great Big Beautiful Life, Great BBL by Emily Henry. I'm loving it so far. I love Emily Henry's writing. I've heard mixed things about this one. I know some people haven't enjoyed it as much because it focuses a lot less on the romance. However, I'm about 100 pages in, so I won't give a full kind of synopsis update right now. Just like in my head, this is an overgrowth update, so I don't want to mix the two too much. But in a little bit, I will talk to you more about the plot of this book. But so far, I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's something that I could really enjoy. And like very early in at the moment, we're only like 100 pages into like a 400-page book, but like it could be a 5-star, who knows? So very excited to carry on reading this. I'm having a much more fun time with it, and yeah, I'll catch up with you when I'm a little bit further through and I can give a kind of first check-in update, I guess. Hello, sorry about the really bright light behind me, but I am now like 200 pages into Great Big Beautiful Life, so about halfway through. I am loving this so far. This is so much fun. I'm having a really, really great time with this. In this one, we are basically following Alice, who is a kind of journalist. She does a lot of kind of like online celebrity kind of journalism. It's not quite like clickbait celebrity drama, but it's not kind of like the highbrow stuff that she's wanting to do. She's tracked down this woman called Margaret, who is part of this kind of older money American family where her grandfather, I believe, was kind of like the creator of this media empire. Like her sister ended up in a cult. Certain other people in the family were killed at certain times or like got in car crashes and stuff, so like a lot of drama there, and I think it's loosely based on the Kennedys, which is really, really interesting. And Margaret is like 80 now, and Alice is kind of interviewing her for like a biography type story, but at the same time there is another author called Hayden who is also kind of interviewing her, and they're both kind of competing to be able to be the ones to write this autobiography, and obviously there is a little bit of a romance between the two. I will say I definitely think it's kind of 50-50 on Margaret's story and then also this romance, and I am enjoying that. It's not like a slow burning romance, but they both don't want to kind of do anything to like, I guess, jeopardize their work and stuff like that, so they are kind of trying to keep their distance, but like there definitely is some tension there, and I'm really liking both of the main characters. I'm also finding Margaret's story so interesting. I love kind of like dramatic wealthy family sagas like this, and I think this is so interesting so far. I know some people have been like, oh, there were so many characters and like I didn't care about like Margaret's story and stuff, but like I completely disagree. I find it pretty easy to follow and I'm very much invested, and I think I'm almost maybe slightly more invested in Margaret's story, I can't lie. Like I'm really looking forward to the chapters when we get some of her history, because it's kind of split up between Alice interviewing her and then kind of Alice living her daily life and stuff. So I am very much enjoying it so far. It's still giving 5-star vibes maybe, I don't know, but I'm excited to see where things go from here. It's been a very quick read. I think I've read the 200 pages in 2 hours, so definitely not kind of dragging out. I feel very eager to pick it up, and I'm very happy to be reading this one after not loving Overgrowth as much. So I am having the time of my life with this. I'm loving it so far, and I cannot wait to continue on with it, and I will tonight, I think. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I love it. I'm having such a good time with it. I have now now finished up Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and I love this one. I really did enjoy it. I decided to give it a 4.5. I don't think it was quite up there for me with Happy Place, which is like my favourite of all time, and then I also really love Funny Story as well, but I do think it's really up there with like Beach Read and stuff like that. I think for me in this, like, I preferred the whole kind of Margaret storyline than the kind of Hayden and Alice one. I did like their romance. They've got the same kind of level of banter as the other books, but obviously just because we see them less, it's kind of a bit less developed, and I do feel like I know them slightly less. I don't feel like I know tons about Hayden as a character, whereas I feel like Miles felt really like fleshed out and real, and I really did appreciate that, like in Funny Story. I can understand why people wouldn't like the kind of split of this, and I do think it struggles a little bit to kind of balance that. I feel like the pacing was slightly off as well, because personally I think the most interesting parts of kind of like Margaret's story is the stuff towards the end, and I do feel like that got a little bit rushed in the way we were telling things. I think towards the start things were really spread out. You'd maybe get like, I don't know, a year or two of information every like 3-4 chapters or something like that, and then towards the end you'd get like 5 years in one chapter, and then 2 chapters later you'd get like another 5 years, and it just felt a little bit rushed in that sense. And I personally really enjoyed this. Like, I could have taken like 100 pages more, I think, and I really would have appreciated a little bit more fleshing out of kind of the end of Margaret's story and a little bit more Hayden and Alice as well. Obviously we're having to balance those two storylines when in a general Emily Henry book you just have the romance and the little bit kind of like background side part of the characters, and the thing is in this as well you also still have that background side part of the characters. I'd say in this you have Alice and Hayden, you have Margaret, and then also kind of balancing in there for third you have like getting to know the town and stuff, like Alice's kind of troubles with her mum and things like that. And obviously I appreciate that, and like all of them kind of then link together in a way, and kind of stuff with Alice's mum helps her kind of bond with Hayden, stuff like that. But I do think that some of it needed to be cut, maybe if we were keeping it this length, or we needed to kind of add a little bit more to kind of pad out the two main storylines here. I will say I didn't really like how everything kind of tied together at the end. I do think it's a little bit ridiculous when books do that, and I do think a story like this would kind of lean towards wanting to do that, and I understand why. I saw it coming. I did find it a little bit ridiculous in some senses. Overall, like, it was enjoyable. There was at one point though where like the characters were having an argument and like one character couldn't tell the other one something because of the NDA that they'd signed. I feel like you can tell someone like, I'm not telling you because I've signed an NDA. Like, you can mention that you have an NDA. You don't have to just be like, I'm not going to tell you. I mean, you can say it's because of the NDA as far as I'm aware, and that felt a little bit silly. But besides that, I really did like them. I do think they did kind of come second to like my intrigue in Margaret and her life. I do love big family saga stories like that. I think it's really interesting, kind of like rich families. Like, I do find the Kennedys really interesting anyway. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. You could tell it was kind of Emily Henry's maybe first foray into this kind of less romance focused genre, and I do think there were like maybe a couple of teething problems that I think maybe would come out in the wash hopefully with her next books. I definitely would like her to continue on this trajectory. I'd definitely be really interested in reading more kind of general fiction from her, but then at the same time I do love her romances, so anything the woman comes out with I'll probably rate it at least a 4. Like, I had a great time with this. That brings us to the end of this video. I always feel like I end up filming these like TBR, Project TBR videos for like months, but it has been a while. But overall we had some really solid reads here. We had some flops, so I guess it was a little bit of a mix, but if I had to rank everything I would probably put them like this. So for anything really like Night and a Moth above, I really loved. So we had 2 4.5s and a 5 in here, which is super strong for me, and then some lower ones. This was just mid, and then these two were pretty disappointing for me, unfortunately. But yeah, I think if you're taking anything away, I would recommend these ones really thoroughly. So yeah, we are now ending this video on a TBR of 261, which is 1 less than what we started with, and next video I definitely like to kind of make some more progress than just getting it down by 1 every time. But I do end up just filming these when I've got like books coming in the mail, my pre-orders, because like I haven't had a pre-order for like a week and a half, and I don't think I'll have another one till like mid-July. So I'm clearly timing these wrong when I'm filming these videos, but I really do love them, and they're some of my favourites to film. Sorry as well for having a little unexplained absence. I was just spending ages filming this video and it took me forever. We'll be back with more videos more regularly from now on, hopefully. And yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like down below and hit subscribe and turn the bell to join a little club, and make sure you turn on all notifications, then you'll be notified every single time I post a new video. If you made it to this point, leave a little cheese emoji down below so that I know that you stuck to the end, and I appreciate you very much. But yeah, if you want to watch one of my other videos, there'll be 2 on screen now to pick from, as well as they're linked up in the cards from earlier. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.